A lot of big news on the recruiting trail. It's summertime. What else would be going on? Jackson Holzer of Locked On Syracuse is here to talk about Calvin Russell, a borderline 5-star recruit, top 50 player in the country, and he was considering Miami. So, of course, he went to Miami, right? Of course, he didn't go to Miami. He goes to Syracuse. This is the highest rated recruit, correct me if I'm wrong, in the history of Syracuse football, Jackson. This is a big deal for the Orange.
So I will correct you because you are wrong. It is the highest rated recruit, if you go check 24/7 Sports, since 2001, Johnny Morantz. That's how far back you got to go. But still.
Well, if I can't physically remember it, I don't think it counts. That's all I'm saying.
You know what? I have people saying, what about Jim Brown and Ernie Davis? And I'm like, you know what I mean. I mean, like, come on now. We really want to do this with everyone? But, yeah, I get the point. It's a big deal for Syracuse getting someone like Calvin Russell.
Yeah, the impressive part to me is this is an offseason where Syracuse had their wide receiver coach poached by Oregon. Ross Douglas says, I'm going to the Big Ten and on the other side of the country, and then they go out and pull him. That to me is even more impressive. But talk about why it lands as an impactful move to you.
To me, this means Syracuse is not a pushover school anymore on the recruiting trail. I'm sorry, but now when Syracuse is mentioned for some of these elite recruits around the country, you can no longer just count them out and dismiss them and say, it's Syracuse. We're this big brand of football. We send more guys to the NFL. Our guys have more success. Our brand power alone is going to get this one done. Because they just got Calvin Russell. And they beat out some pretty damn good schools. Miami, his hometown team, didn't even get a seat at the table at the end. Who else was there? Michigan, the runner-up. How often does Michigan lose out to a school like Syracuse? Not often. Oregon, they actually just beat Syracuse on the recruiting trail. They got Messiah Hampton. You can thank Ross Douglas for that one. Not for Calvin Russell, though. Florida State. Florida State might have been terrible last year, going 2-10. They can still recruit pretty well. They still finish pretty high in the recruiting rankings basically every single year. Syracuse beat them. And so to me, the significance is, hey, you see Syracuse now on the recruiting trail, you got to take them seriously because they can pull out some of these big recruiting wins.
Yeah, they're up to number 22 nationally in 24/7's rankings in the 2026 cycle, and that's not nothing. I mean, the fact that the Orange are in that position, we're in the middle of July now, Jackson, or 10 and 10 and 10 if you've divided up into beginning, middle, and end. We're officially in the middle of July. This is not, it's March, they're going to fall down, they're going to get beat. No, they look like they are legitimately in position here. And we'll talk about what it means for the expectations of the program. But, I mean, is this not just another big feather in Fran Brown's cap for him to be able to say, look at the job that I'm doing. Look, Orange fans, this is why you should be excited about what I can build here at Syracuse, because this is one of those moves, to your point, that really turns heads.
I think it's one of those moves where, look, time is going to tell what is the ultimate outcome here, right? We don't know how this is going to translate as far as wins and losses, and are they going to be able to get other big-time recruits to commit to Syracuse? But my takeaway from this, and this is what I think gives me the most optimism here, I don't think Calvin Russell is going to be the last one. Now, I'm not saying in 2026, but I go look at it and say, if you can get Calvin Russell, why can't you do that in 2027 or 2028 or 2029, so on and so forth? I would love if Syracuse had a top 5 recruiting class in the nation one year. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but you're starting to get to the point where Fran Brown is checking off all these boxes. Okay, his first year at Syracuse, it's their highest rated recruiting class since 24/7 Sports began tracking class team recruiting rankings, which was in 2003. Takes a little step back in 2025 with his second recruiting class, but he gets the highest rated recruit to come to Syracuse in a very long time in Demetrius Samuel Jr., a consensus 4-star recruit. 2026 is his third recruiting class. He goes out and gets the first 5-star to commit to him, or to commit to Syracuse, I should say, since 2001. And now they're bordering on a top 20 class. Does anyone honestly feel like this is the end? Like this is it? It's over. The Fran Brown and Syracuse, this is done. I mean, I guess it's in the range of outcomes, but I look at it and I say, Calvin Russell may have been the first 5-star to recruit to Syracuse in a very long time. The first of the Fran Brown era. I don't think he's going to be the last.
Where do you think this can go? You mentioned the ascension. Where can it go? Can they be, in 2 years' time, could Syracuse pull a top 10 class? Or is the ceiling top 15? Like, where can it go? Not just this class specifically, but overall, with Fran Brown at the helm and what you feel like he's doing right now, where can the recruiting potential of Syracuse go?
I don't think it's impossible that Syracuse, assuming that Fran Brown is here long enough, because what I have been saying is that they're going to have to extend Fran Brown. I mean, you might want to, considering what he is doing with this program right now. And by the way, you might want to invest more in the program too, I might add, because the more you invest in this guy, the more you invest in the program in general, it's only going to go up and up and up. Assuming those things happen, they can absolutely pull out a top 10 recruiting class as soon as 2027.
Whoa!
Look at where they're going to end up this year. Where do you think they're going to end up?
Well,
they're going to be top 30.
Oh, like, yeah, no, I feel pretty good about that.
30, guaranteed top 30. Top 25 when all is said and done? Possible. We'll see how the rest of the class goes. I think it's going to happen. They'll be top 25. Inside the top 20 might be a little bit tricky, because it's not like for the rest of the recruiting targets, they're going after some big fish. I think Tadarius Hughes is the biggest one, a 4-star current commit to Florida State. But assuming you're right around the 20s, I'm not saying that they're going to have a top 10 class in 2027. But if you tell me right now on July 9th, at the time of this recording, that Syracuse in 2027 will have a top 10 class, I wouldn't be surprised. If I'm honestly forecasting it correctly, I would probably say the soonest is 2027 you can have a top 10 class, but more likely 2028, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that seems a little. You got to build. You can't just flash up onto the scene like that and just say, oh yeah, we're here, we're top 10.
Giving you. You asked, what the potential is, and I told you that's the potential.
By 27, a year from now, if we're talking about top 10 recruiting Syracuse, no one is going to be prepared for that. While I've got you here, Jackson, and before I let you go, I'll throw up for our YouTube audience my preseason power rankings in the ACC. I've got Syracuse at 7, behind Duke, SMU, Georgia Tech, Louisville, Miami, and Clemson. Any objection to where I have your orange right there?
I got to be honest with you. I really wanted to make a podcast roasting you and how you're disrespecting Syracuse and everything like that. But I look at this list and I can't. Honestly, I think it's kind of accurate. I think it's a different roster than last year, obviously. I think putting him at 7 is pretty nice. I like it. I like it. So maybe Syracuse fans feel differently. Maybe they feel they should be top 5, but I'll take the respect at 7. I think the schools that you have above them are rightfully ahead of them.
I've been getting that response a lot, and I just want to point out how nice
good
it
your
feels.
rankings have been.
Yeah, they've just been so good. You're not the first to come on here and be like, I wanted to be mad, but I agree with.
I really wanted to be mad. I'm like, it's
unfortunate.
We can always use extra content.
I know. I'm disappointing a lot of people.
You're sitting here giving us 7, and I'm like, well, how am I going to do a 30-minute podcast saying that Spencer is accurately putting Syracuse where they should probably be?
I have faith in your abilities, Jackson. I have faith. I am letting down.
Stretch.
I think I am letting down a lot of hosts here at the network.
Saying how Syracuse is. Oh God, now I'm going to get clipped. How Syracuse is, miles better than Clemson, and they should be number 1. But I'm not going to do that.